Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Hello my students and welcome to lesson number 10 in the fourth unit number 4. In this lesson we will talk about some inventions. Let's do the first task, number A. Here my students, we can see on the right a picture, and in this picture we can see two men. One of them is on the right and the other one is standing on the left. The person who is standing in the right or on the right says, I wish we had invented the wheel earlier. It's so useful. And on the left we have this question: match the inventions from 1 to 7 to their inventors from A to G. The first invention is telescope, the second ballpoint pen, the third one telephone, number 4 lift or elevator, radio, motor car, and electric light bulb. On the second column we have Otis, Marconi, Edison, Benz, Galileo, Bell, and Biro. Here are the answers. So a person who invented telescope is Galileo. A person who invented ballpoint pen is Biro. A person or the inventor of telephone is Bell. A person who invented lift is Otis. The inventor of radio is Marconi, and the inventor of motor car is Benz. And finally, the inventor of electric light bulb is Edison. Here are the answers. After that, let's do practice number C. Work in pairs. Discuss these questions. Number 1. What's the difference between a calendar and a clock? Number 2. How can we tell the time from the sun? 3. What is a monument? Give some examples of monuments you have seen. Here we have to answer these questions, but at the same time we want to read this text. Early clocks. Since ancient times, people have been interested in marking the passage of time. Different civilizations invented calendars, which divided time into years, months, and days. In this way, they were able to make calculations about seasonal events. They could predict, for example, when rivers were going to flood or when winter was going to arrive. The Egyptians in 4236 BC devised one of the first calendars based on a year of 365 days. In more recent times, people have wanted to know not just the time of year, but the time of day. The Egyptians were among the first people to divide the day into parts. About 3500 BC, they began to build obelisks, which are slender, tapering, four-sided monuments. The shadows of these early clocks formed a kind of sundial. The shadow indicated when it was midday, and so it was easy to divide the day into two. Later, markers were added around the base of the monument to indicate further subdivisions of time. Around 1500 BC, the Egyptians developed a portable clock called a T-stick or shadow clock. This device had gradient marks along its long stem. The shorter stem cast a shadow over the marks. It was used to divide the sunlit day into 10 hours. The Egyptians invented another device called a market. About 600 BC, it was used for measuring time at night. Two instruments were aligned with the pole star. Time was divided by noting the passage of other stars during the night. Now, after reading this text, let's do the practice number C, where compare, discuss the questions. What's the difference between a calendar and a clock? What can we tell the time from the sun? And what's the monument? Give some examples of monuments you have seen. The answer of the first question is calendars divide years into months and days, while clocks divide days into hours and minutes. Number 2, how can we tell the time from the sun? We can guess from the position of the sun in the sky, or sometimes we use the shadows of objects to help us. People can also use instruments such as sundials to tell the time. And according to the third question, what's a monument? Give some examples of monuments you have seen. Here you can give your answers, my students. Now practice number D. Read the text again about early clocks, then answer the questions. We have read this text earlier, so we will do the tasks directly. Number 1, complete the table. Here we have table. This table consists of 2 columns. The first one until the title of date, and the second one is under the title of device. Number 2, what could ancient people predict from calendars? 3, what shape is an obelisk? And number 4, why do you think inventions such as sundials and markets developed in countries such as Egypt? Now let's see the answers. The first one, date. We have here date and device. In 4236 BC, we had calendar based on 365 day year. In the year 3500 BC, we had obelisks. And in 1500 BC we had T-stick, and finally in 600 BC we had market. Now number 2, what could ancient people predict from calendars? when rivers were going to flood and when winter was going to arrive. Number 3. What shape is an obelisk? Slender, tapering, four-sided monument. Now, number 4. Why do you think inventions such as sundials and meerkats developed in countries such as Egypt? Sunny countries, clear night skies enabling people to study the stars, and other possible answers you can give, my students. Now let's move to our workbook, practice number B. This practice is so good for you all. Read again the text in exercise number D on course book, page number 51. Then find words in the text which match the following. Thought up or invented. Verb. Thin or slim. Adjective here. Number 3. Can be carried. Adjective also. 4. Object or tool. Noun. Number 5. Line up one thing with another. Yes, the answers here. Thought up or invented means devised. Number 2. Thin or slim. Slender. Cylinder. Can be carried means portable. Portable. Object or tool, device. And finally, line up one thing with another, to align. Now, after finishing this task or this question number B, we can conclude our lesson, and at this point I want to say to everybody of you goodbye and don't waste your time, please. So thank you for your listening to me, and see you in the next or following class. Goodbye.